Thank you for staying with us. It's time now for the news review. We're digging into all the papers, but let me first say a very good morning to Dr. Kwame Asante, Director for the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. Doc, Yadase. Yadase Bebre. Morning. Can you hear me, Doc?
Yes.
Right.
Loud and clear.
Great. I didn't catch your sound a bit earlier. I hope you're well this wet Wednesday morning.
Very perfect. Perfect.
Great.
Yes.
Let's get into some of the crucial matters that we're going to be discussing. Some of them in the papers, of course. But SIM card re-registration, let's start from there. It's been postponed. The deadline has been postponed to July the 31st. And at the same time, the minority has made claims of a stampede yesterday at the NIA headquarters, which led to many people getting injured, all on the back of securing a Ghana card and re-registering their SIM cards. I've heard of so many stories in Tema, in other places where you join long queues and day after day you have to be there for days without end. How we've approached the SIM card registration process and then the SIM re-registration that has been postponed to July the 31st. I mean, what do you make of all of it?
I think it started well, but later we see.
Which one are you starting with? The Ghana card
I'm starting with the SIM card registration.
Right.
It started well. People were getting in, but later the queues became many, very long and winding, and created all manner of difficulties for people. Then added to this was the issue of you getting the NIA card to be able to register. That was a whole lot of experience. So looking at the two, we realize that we have had difficulties in managing the two processes, which are very important for our survival in the telecom industry. So yesterday, news came as a relief for many who have not re-registered their SIM cards to do so in July 31st or thereabouts, and then also to enable those going for the NIA card to be able to do so within the short period of time. I believe that the two institutions I'm talking about, the NIA people and then the telecom operators, now that the deadline has been extended, they'll be able to do their homework well so that we reduce the pressure and the unnecessary delays and all that. Let us remember that our ability to do this thing within a short space of time will enhance productivity so that people don't leave their offices, go and join long queues before they come back to work. Now we need all hands on deck to be able to deliver the productivity that this country requires in order to surmount the current challenges we face.
Well, millions and millions of people are supposed to not have been able to register, not even having their Ghana card, to talk of SIM card re-registration. But do you personally know of any people who have tried to re-register who have not been able to do so? Do you know of any such people? I mean, in your...
No, I don't know that, but we are reading from newspapers, hearing from various news channels. Mm-hmm. So I believe that there are people out there who have such problems. So now that they have been given this new deadline, they will work within that framework of time to be able to do this work in no time. Mm.
I know you know of Agenda 111 to put up 111 district hospitals and all of that, among others. We find it curious, and I just want to run this by you. Health Minister Kweku Agyeman-Manu, we sought some information from his outfit, and basically the outfit is saying they do not know, they do not have the details of these hospitals. But initially, you would recall that in January, the same health minister spoke about 55 Agenda 111 hospitals under construction. And the claim now is that they don't have any data on it. From a policy perspective, I know you dabble in that as well. How does this strike you? A health ministry, we're having 111 district hospitals being put up, and they speak about it initially. But the next time, when we want information as media people, they say they have no idea about the project. Does the logical sequence? How does it hit you?
was taken aback yesterday when I followed your conversation, your network, JoyNews, the request you made to the ministry and the response. I was so surprised that this is a project that the minister and the ministry, for that matter, started talking about this. And now that the real questions come to them, and they said that they don't have, information about that. So the initial information, the question is, where did they get it from? Is it the case that somebody is hiding any information from the public? I don't think so. But if my answer is right, then I believe the ministry must be forthright and come out with all the necessary information. Maybe the time your network sent the request, there were a number of issues or some amount of information that had not reached the decks of the minister. I believe that this is a time for them to right the wrongs so that nobody will take them for granted or have some doubts over the project. Already, let us remember that when the project started, there were people who were doubtful about whether it is feasible, whether they have the resources to drive this project home. So they should not compound the issue by giving us conflicting stories that tend to poison the minds of people, and people will lack confidence in the projects. Very important projects such as what the government has thrown out as a policy. They need to be able to get the basics right so that the right information is given and leaving nobody in no doubt at all that the program is feasible, is viable, and then it has all that it takes to start. Otherwise, you leave the public to come out with all manner of interpretation, and that will not bode well for a government of a democratic state such as Ghana.
Right before we start with the papers and get into the Daily Graphic, a quick one. The Gory accidents seem to still be happening. In the Western region, an accident in which some 14 lives have been lost, some say 15, and the numbers keep getting counted. And then again, on the Tema stretch as well, another such incident. So many accidents happening here and there. Do we look, as far as you are concerned, to be getting the situation under control? Because it appears we are repeating what we saw last year.
I'm not sure we are fighting the problem the way it has to be. Because day in, day out, we are hearing stories, gory tales of accidents where we lose precious lives, where properties are destroyed, and a host of other problems. And we seem to have very little solution to this. I'm so surprised that we are still grappling with a situation like that. We need to be up and doing and approach this problem with all the seriousness that it deserves. Otherwise, we are going to lose a lot of people, and that will affect the fortunes of this country. We must get serious and tackle this problem head on.
Let's get into the Daily Graphic, Doc. Confronting economic challenges, difficult decisions ahead. President hints Council of State slashes allowances by 20%. Yes, they do get allowances. And the story says the president has said in the face of the global economic challenges with their impact on the country, the government has taken difficult but necessary decisions to bring the economy back on track. He said details of the decisions will be announced on Thursday, saying the times call for difficult decisions. Doc, so that is what we've been told. On the back of that meeting, the economic management team, cabinet, jaw-jawing to map the way forward out of the economic doldrums in which we find ourselves. We've been told that the finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, will appear in parliament on Thursday. Some have said, like the likes of Okuja-Ablakwa, that this is too little, too late. Other leaders, even as early as December, November last year, were adopting measures in Rwanda and other sister African countries. We have waited to this point. They feel we are already way too deep down there. I've listened to the Bank of Ghana say that some of its measures in shoring up the city, for example, we may not see the impact till about a fortnight and more. But some are not so optimistic. What is your take? What are your expectations as we hear from the finance minister on Thursday?
There are a whole lot of proposals that I have in my mind that I want to share.
Right.
One, the government must come out with concrete ideas that work, not ideas that are populist in nature, that do not inure to the benefit of this country. They must get this thing straight. Two, they must have a modest approach to issues, all right, than promising heaven and earth that you cannot deliver. And the third, they must do well to cut waste and stamp up corruption. You see, we don't have much, so we need to be able to manage the very little that we have prudently. And that is why I'm calling for this. And then there must be dedication and commitment towards, strengthening the frontiers of the country's economy without, any delay at all. And of course, there must be strict enforcement of the rules of the game. Anybody who doesn't play ball according to the rules of the game, they should get the courage to sanction people who want to thwart the effort of government in this direction. And above all, the size of government, why? It should go down. And so that we reduce the bill that we pay in that direction. I'm so surprised that we are struggling to have resources, and still the toll booth conversation has not been, up again. We need to bring it back, so that the government will look at it and then go in straight away. You are looking for resources, something that gives you something small, you have thrown it away. And where are you going to get the resources from? So I think government must reflect on these things and do it in no time. They have no time to waste, because the more they waste time on this thing, the more the problem get compounded. And then it becomes what? Available materials for opposition to feed on, to build their messages during campaign. Because they have very little time.
On the back of the bit about the allowances of Council of State members, I'm saying this on the back of a message that came in as we put together our reportage yesterday. Someone commented that these members of the Council of State are mostly retirees, so to speak. They've lived their lives, got what they would get, and that per the Supreme Court, whatever decisions they adopt is just counsel. It is not binding on the executive in the first place. So they should be willing to serve the state gratis, for free. What do you think? Some say they shouldn't even be getting any allowances. What is your take on that?
No, I disagree vehemently that we cannot build this state on empty stomach. I've said it and I'll repeat it here. All right. Yes. Let us remember that we are looking for quality of people to man that office, to give quality counsel. And these are people who have distinguished themselves in their various fields of endeavor. Are you saying that you are getting their services for free? No, that would be unfair to them, because they are doing a service for the state. Other than that, they must be relaxing in their home and counseling their family and all that. But they are serving the country for the last time. All right, they need to have some remuneration. But you see, all this type of arguments, if you tie it with the Supreme Court decision that the advice is just, the decisions are just advice and it's not binding on government. I believe that if we want to make effective use of this body and pay the right, remuneration for their effort, we must quickly put them into the second chamber. There, the advice become binding. There, when you are paying, you pay. And then you know that you derive the necessary support from them. Because, look, sometimes we have difficult bills before Parliament, and Parliament find it difficult to pass and all that. If you have a body like this as a second chamber full of experienced people who are fearless, they have no sympathy for things that are unnecessary for the advancements of this country. When you have them as a second chamber, they have the courage, they have the tenacity to withstand all pressure and come out with meaningful legislation.
So you're basically speaking of a bicameral legislature.
Exactly so. Because you are paying them. There is a group of people who are experts. They have all manner of ideas and knowledge, experience, all there is they have. And then you are also, financing the activities. Why don't you put them at, a body that their decision will be binding on government instead of it being an advisory body? I believe that that's the direction we should go. And there are people that we can't throw away at all. This is the time when people they are able to deliver what the public require from them. Because, look, they have no skeleton, they have nothing, they have distinguished themselves. They want to leave a legacy for the country. So we should be able to design our system in such a way that we drop them into a system that they will be able to give us the best the best for this country.
Interesting. I mean, talking about a bicameral legislature so that we can incorporate the Council of State. But it appears a lot of people didn't even know that they were taking allowances. Some people felt they were offering their services for free for nationalistic or patriotic purposes. Should we know how much they're getting in allowances? Do you think it's important?
Well, why not? They are public officers. So Why are we hiding the remuneration from the public? When the taxpayer, you are requiring the taxpayer to cough up money to pay their taxes, and then so that they service all these people. We are entitled to the amount of money that they take. That should not be kept in secrecy at all.
Right. Not be shrouded in any secrecy. Let's get into this other story in the Daily Graphic and wrap and move on to other papers. OSP unveils corruption league table. And this excites me. I'm just looking to see how exactly it's going to impact corruption in our body politic or in the country as a whole. Now, the Office of the Special Prosecutor has launched a corruption league table to compile a list of the most to least corrupt institutions and organizations in the public sector. The corruption league table, according to the Special Prosecutor Kisia Jabing, was an important intervention to drive down corruption in the public sector. The project, christened the Ghana Corruption League Table, that is GCLT, will be akin to a fusion of the Corruption Perception Index programs of Transparency International and the Afro Barometer. The table will be a research-based model designed to assess real and perceived levels of public sector corruption. Quickly to you, Doc. The relevance of this and basically its importance and what you expect of it, should it take off?
It is not different from what the Transparency International and GII are doing. Every time, if you look at even report from the think tank, CDD and the like, they publish the league table of corrupt institutions within this country. And we still have corruption festering in this country. The real bit is that governments and institutions lack the political will to deal with corruption head on. That is all. So yes, it's something that the OSP want to come out with. But for me, if we are not ready to face, to bite the bullet and be able to deal with the issue, I'm afraid we can come out with all manner of tables. It will not work. The real issue that we must be bold and be courageous to deal with corrupt people within our fold, within political parties. Do government have the political wherewithal to deal with people within their own parties? That question has not been answered. We have done a lot in this area. Let us remember that issue of naming and shaming, the issue of even imprisonment and what have you. And in certain aspect, we use firing squad. All these things did not work. So we need a careful reflection on this issue so that we will come out with something that will stand the test of time. Otherwise, it will be a mere lip service.
Let's get into the Ghanaian Times newspaper, and it goes back to that story we put up, or that I discussed with you a short while ago. Carnage on road, 14 die in Gory accident at Asem. And it's a very sad incident. There's also don't change core mandate, universal reach of free SHS. That's according to the CRI. And SIM card re-registration deadline extended to July the 31st. But let's get into the story on page 15. TUC fumes at unstable fuel prices, says situation adversely affecting businesses and the public. And the Trades Union Congress has expressed worry over the frequent rise in the prices of petroleum products. According to the union, the situation is adversely affecting businesses and the populace as a whole. The TUC, in a statement issued and signed by Secretary General Dr. Yaubain Accra and copied the Ghanaian Times, stated that the unstable fuel prices have led to increases in prices of goods and services, a development it describes as worrying. It also says, more importantly, according to the TUC, suspending taxes and levies on these fuel products in these challenging times will demonstrate to Ghanaians that our government is sensitive to the plight of the people of Ghana. We've been told that there are some measures that will be announced soon to seek to curtail the prices or stabilize the prices of fuel products. Only yesterday, I went to the pump, and where I purchased from, I bought a liter. The last time I had bought before this, which was a few days prior, I had bought at 9 cedis 97. Yesterday, when I went, it was 10 cedis 97, an increment of an extra 1 cedi per liter. That is the reality here. How do you respond to the calls of the TUC, Doc?
This call is not different from many we have experienced over the years. We talk about fuel prices because it affects every aspect of our lives and all that. But very little do we do in terms of how we fix this problem. Because all these development is a function of the dollar fluctuation, CD fluctuation on the world market, and then the issue of the fact that we need to get this crude sent somewhere, get it refined, brought to the country and all that. We have not addressed the very little problems that affect this. So every time we scratch the face of it and it come back to haunt us. When Professor Adam Mensah was handling this, he was throwing light on how we can finance these things. We have abandoned that type of conversation. We need to go back to the drawing board, get these things so that we will be able to look at it and see how best it can work for us. We need serious conversation. We need serious reflection in order to address this problem once and for all. Other than that, every time we'll come back, bemoan and criticize government, and then throw our hands in despair and then go to sleep for the problem to reoccur.
For the problem to recur. Quite a situation there. Let's get into the Daily Guide newspaper. Burger MP's appeals struck out 14 burned to death in Takwa Accra crash. There's also Minister inspects projects in Upper West and Savannah. And then maintain free SHS Child Rights International appeals, like I mentioned a short while ago. NPP whips NDC to pass €20 million loan. That is another matter of interest. I'm sure you followed it. It nearly skipped my mind. But yesterday in Parliament, the bit about a quorum, whether Parliament had a quorum on the back of Article, I think, 109, as ruled upon by the Supreme Court. You know, the Supreme Court ruling has, yes, come to bear, but it's not reflected in the standing orders of Parliament. Parliament has its own processes to usher in whatever recommendations have been made. And now it's created a sort of flux. So yesterday, there was a situation in Parliament. The first Deputy Speaker said there was a quorum. Others hinted him that, no, you don't have a quorum. You are abusing the process. Member of Parliament for South Dai, Roxanne Nelson Dafiamekpo, stepped in. We had, on that same side, Madam Doyo also step in. And then they had to take a 30-minute break. I don't know whether you followed that issue, but what do you make of it? It's creating quite some tension in Parliament.
Yes, I did follow. And it's the product of the ruling that we are seeing some of these things. But that is to be expected, because whenever you have rulings of this nature, it defines the frontiers for us. So whenever there are little aberrations, Parliament as a body can sit down, reflect upon it, and see how best they can solve it. If not, then somebody must trigger another legal process that will be able to rope in this new problem so that the judiciary can look at it for us. But I believe that Parliament can reflect on it soberly and then have a solution to this if we are really interested in saving this democracy and building a solid one, of course, for the people of this country.
We're getting ready to wrap, and the Finder newspaper, multiple factors crushing the city. Pictured there, Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Ernest Addison. And can $2 billion injection slow the pace when U.S. Fed is hiking rates? That is the question there. You can check out details of that on page 5. There's talk about transactions involving foreign exchange. There's talk about the U.S. trying to raise interest rates more aggressively. Even internally, our policy rates going up by some 250 points or 2.5 percentage points and all of that. Interesting story on our economy. You can check it out on page 5 of the Finder newspaper. And I don't know how calm you are, Doc, but Dr. Ernest Addison, governor of the Bank of Ghana, the central bank, says, keep calm. CD will stabilize soon. That's in the BNFT. How calm are you about the CD stabilizing soon?
Yes, we want to be calm, but we want to also make sure that what they tell us will become a reality, because the situation on the ground now doesn't look good. We are all suffering, and it is the duty of government to bring smiles on the faces of everybody. I know government is working very hard. Bank of Ghana is also doing a bit, but it must be very fast so that the ordinary man will feel it. It shouldn't be just mere rhetoric on paper and assurances. We want to feel it, we want to know it, and it should happen, and in no time. That is the message.
My final bit to you, the head of public sector reforms, Thomas Kusibwafo, interacting with us, is proposing the dismissal of alcoholic public sector workers. And this is on the lighter side. According to him, they do not contribute to the country's development, yet they are still on the payroll. He believes government should dismiss such workers to create space for healthier and more productive workers. What do you think about that?
Please, I miss it. Which workers are they talking about?
So he's talking about public sector workers, and he's saying that he is proposing the dismissal of alcoholic public sector workers. This, of course, is the head of public sector reforms, Thomas Kusibwafo.
Oh, yes. You know, in public sector, they are governed by rules and regulations. So if there's somebody in there who is not working according to the rules, why are you keeping the person there? You need to walk that tightrope in order to be able to deliver your service. So if there's somebody there who is taking pay and is not performing as he's supposed to work, I'm afraid you keeping him there, you become very incompetent. And at the end of the day, you must answer questions. So if they want to get these things done, they must enforce the rules, simply put.
Thank you so much, Doc, for joining us this wet Wednesday morning. Always refreshing connecting with you. We do wish you the best of the day.
I'm grateful.
Right. Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante joining us there for this discussion, head of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. Up next, we have sports. I know all of you are interested in the Black Stars squad and what we can expect ahead of the 25th. More coming your way. Do stay.